What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm Asif Badi. This is a clip from the YouTube show, so please do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and give me your thoughts in the comments section below. Without further ado, on with the show. It really is. All right, man. Well, are you ready to talk about some birds, some modern day birds? Let's get ready.
The modern day birds, by the way, are freaking phenomenal. So I'm more than happy to talk about
that they are. So you know what? Let's just get right into it. Halfway point of the year, week 9 entering the bye week. We're 6-2. What are your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles season thus far? Where do you think they rank amongst the teams in the NFL? Because it's been an up and down year for the Philadelphia Eagles, according to their fan base. And, you know, we've had a lot of just like trials and tribulations, but like we're 6-2 at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And yet everyone still feels like there's meat left on the bone. Where are you at in terms of the Philadelphia Eagles status amongst the NFL teams?
I'm gonna sound very hyperbolic here, but I'm very
no, man,
overconfident.
Let it fly, dude. If you're gonna go, let it fly.
Okay, so to be honest, I don't pay attention as much to the rest of the league, but I do have watched, especially some of the teams that are meant to be our competitors. I pay attention to them, and I just have to say that there is a level of excellence and consistency that the Eagles have that no other team has. I actually feel like as long as we're got a really good position and our record is going to be decent, which it is, by the way. 6-2 is the exact same record we had after 8 games last season.
Right. True. Very true.
So, I'm very confident. I actually think that over the last couple of weeks, the Eagles have gotten better. We've actually added more strings to our bow, so to speak.
Okay.
And I think we're looking a lot more balanced and a lot more complete. And I actually think that having the 2 losses in retrospect, I think was good for us, especially the Giants one, because I think that was an eye opener because
right.
We've obviously, and look, with Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie in this organization, they have a formula for how they like to go about things, and they're very stubborn and they stick to that formula, which is, I think, something that frustrates a lot of Eagles fans. But there are also there's also a lot of people in our media, for instance, John McMullen, who swears by those things. So right. he will consistently kind of, I mean, on some days he sounds pessimistic. Like I thought he sounded very pessimistic heading into like the Vikings game, for instance. All of a sudden, like Johnny Mack, who's like so stable, is all of a sudden like,
yeah, right.
But for me, those things are things that the Eagles should hold on to because it's created stability. This is what well-run organizations do. They have an ethos that they stick to, and it only breeds success. At the moment, I think the Eagles are as well positioned as anybody to go ahead and continue. Because I'll tell you this much, and we did a podcast in the offseason before the draft. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's a pivotal moment in the offseason because drafts basically shape your offseason. That's 50% basically of your roster turnover ends up being your draft picks. And free agency had finished, and of course, the free agency period didn't really have many real headliners in them. No game changers. And I felt like we sat going into the draft and nobody had really done any potential moves that would close the gap on the Eagles. Nobody filled me with fear. There were a lot of names being thrown around of teams that people thought were good. And I just got to be honest, like I just sat there and I was like, I don't see it. Like people kept telling me how, the Rams are going to be really scary. They're going to be a contender in the West. At the moment, Seattle's looking better than the Rams, in my opinion.
Wow.
For instance, like I'm actually a bit more afraid of Seattle. Like for instance, if you had to go on the road, which I don't think we will have to, but if we had to go on the road to Seattle in a playoff game, that fills me with more fear because of our record there than going to LA where we always win. Huh. So, but anyway, I like. For instance, you see the Ravens. The Ravens is actually probably the team that I had at the start of the season. I thought their roster construction was better than everybody else. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Lamar Jackson has injury issues, but that thing has completely fallen off the map.
Yeah, man, really has.
So I think that's a huge part because I thought the Ravens, given that the Chiefs are have declined. I thought that was our obvious biggest threat if we were to make it to the Super Bowl. That's no longer there. Buffalo would be an interesting challenge for us, but I'm pretty confident in this team. I think there's a gap between the Eagles and the rest of the NFL, and they all failed, to be honest, to be able to close that gap. And that tends to be the job of all the other 31 general managers in the NFL, is to try to close the gap with the current champions. And one thing that people really don't take in consideration when they talk about some of our slow starts is that we are the champions. We do have a target on our back. So we cannot cakewalk or sleepwalk into any football games now.
Right.
We can't win any games in first or second gear, although we have. So that's the other part. The other part too, which was what makes it very scary. That the Eagles' levels can go up. I feel like I'm talking about this in every sport I talk about. On my other channel, on the Football Terrace, on the network I work for, I'm always talking about, teams that are being so successful early parts of the season and they've yet to get out of first or second gear. And that for me is maturity. That for me is the formula for how you win championships. You don't win championships in September or October. You win championships in January, February. So I just think that the Eagles at 6-2 at the break, I think it's good. We got to have a chance to rest. We have a lot of injuries, especially on the O-line. And you mentioned that. That's been the biggest bugaboo, I think, for the Birds this year. If that O-line gets healthy, I think there's no one to stop us. And I do think, by the way, we'll talk about later on this podcast, because you outlined it for me, but ways that we can improve the defense, because I think the defense at times could use a little bit of an upgrade, a little bit more veteran leadership in it. But I think overall, though, I think it's performed to a level that's good enough to win football games. So
I tend to agree with you on the defense for sure, man. I mean, considering what the offense was, especially in the beginning of the year, and how young the defense is. I mean, what we got last season was just like that. It was literally like one of the greatest, if not the greatest, defense in franchise history. Like, asking for something like that would have been, just unrealistic. I thought where we were this year was what we were going to get last season, right? And it ended up just being flipped. But yeah, I tend to agree with you in terms of just like where the defense is at. You did mention something that was interesting. You said the Seahawks are more of a threat to the Eagles than you think the Rams are, considering who their quarterbacks are, considering the history that, I mean, just in the playoffs, Matt Stafford gave us, the biggest run for our money in that playoff game. And even in the regular season, the Rams were winning a majority of the game and were marching down the field for a game-winning field goal prior to the block. So do you genuinely feel that the Rams don't have what it takes to beat the Philadelphia Eagles?
I mean, I again, I talked about the fact that I have a very close connection with members of the Rams fan base.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just got to be honest. I honestly have to be honest. I could play the Rams 16 times in a year, bro. I know they came close. I know they came close the last two times that we played them, especially in our building. But I just feel like every single time we play them, I just think, by the way, Sean McVay, who is a genius, offensive genius.
That he is.
But for some reason, Nick always gets the better of him every time. And I just feel like there's a fear. The Rams get frustrated. Like, you can see the way that they behave. Jared Verse, the way he talks, even though like he's only in his second season in the NFL, he's now played us 3 times in his career.
Right.
There's a inferiority complex with the Rams when it comes to the Eagles. And I just feel like as long as that is there, I'm not concerned about them. The Seattle Seahawks first of all, I think, I mean, if you've watched them this year, by the way, they're 5-2.
They're good. That's a
good they're 5-2. Yeah. Like that defense is flying. I love some of those players on defense. DeMarcus Lawrence, I know a lot of Philly fans and myself, we don't really have much love for him.
He's been good for them.
Yeah. He's been good for them. He's added like a veteran presence. to that defense. I think that secondary is still good. Although I would love to get my hands on Tariq Woolen, for instance.
Right.
I was very, to be honest, I'm a bit critical on our trade for Michael Carter because I don't really know how much that did for us defensively. I don't know how much of an upgrade he is. Anybody else, and actually like Mechie as an option at wide receiver. I was a bit perplexed. I thought that I saw a lot of rumors that we were going to go for Tariq Woolen, and I was like, by the way,
That would have been
at the same time, I'm like, why would Seattle trade him? But I'm like, that is the type of that is the type of trade that you make that says, damn, could you imagine you have Tariq Woolen, Quinion, Cooper?
Yeah, exactly.
All of a sudden, like you have Tariq Woolen, who has got a massive upside. I think that's a better secondary than the one that won a Super Bowl last year because we had an aging Darius Slay. Like,
right.
So I was a bit confused. I honestly, I gotta say, I have lots of love for Howie and I trust him. But a lot of the moves that he's made have been a lot of just very sideways moves. And it's telling me that he's got something bigger in the pipeline later on because he's not willing to put all his chips on the table now.
It's fair.
But we'll talk about later if potentially maybe he was willing to do such a thing in the immediate future. We'll see. But yeah, I love what Seattle have got. I know Sam Darnold, by what comes under a lot of shit. People say like, you know, when he goes under the lights, the pressure will get to Sam Darnold.
That's kind of
yeah, I know a lot of people say, but you know what? Outside of the one run where Stafford won the Super Bowl, Stafford hasn't shown to me that he can win the biggest games. He's a great regular season player, puts him some great numbers. He's a fantastic quarterback. He's a great quarterback to watch, especially from an IQ standpoint. He reads the field better than most, but it's more the roster construction. I think being an Eagles fan, I understand how important it is to have a team around you, and I think the Seattle has drafted so well in recent seasons, and those players are starting to really start to understand how to play in this league, and you're seeing it on the field. Like Jackson Smith and Jigba, for instance, he has gone up levels. They got rid of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett for a reason. They felt comfortable doing that. Yeah. Because JSN is now one of the best, spoiler alert to everybody, sorry, he's one of the best receivers now in the NFL.
Yes, he is.
He's incredible.
Yes, he is.
Like at the running game the running backs that they've got, I love Walker, for instance. I think Seattle's hard, and especially if you have to go on the road there. Like, we never win.
Not an easy out, man. It's not an easy out playing against Seattle. They draft well. That coach over there, Mike McDonald, like that's a really, really good football coach over there. I think I was watching a podcast with John Middlecoff. He dubbed him as the Sean McVay of. Yeah, he's awesome, man. He dubbed him as the Sean McVay of defenses. He spoke to other executives in the league, and that's what they dub him as.
I actually like that. I agree.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm like, that is one hell of a compliment for a football coach for Mike McDaniel. I mean, being compared again, Sean McVay was the guy that completely changed the way NFL teams look for coaches. Mike McDonald, if you're compared to that, like, you are doing something really, really well. And yeah, like you said, man, they draft really well. They got a young, good football team over there. JSN's a monster. And that, you know, in fair point, like, it's not going to be a tough, it's not going to be an easy out to play against Seattle, especially if you have to go on the road. That 12th man over there is for real. But yeah, that's really interesting, man, because I dubbed the Rams as someone that could be.
I know you did. I did.
I really do.
And I told you at the time, we had an argument on my podcast.
Yeah,
I told you at the time I didn't buy it. And look, the Rams have had a phenomenal season as well. They're 5-2. Okay, I don't want to say that the Rams are not a good football team and they're not a contender for the.
Yeah,
NFC,
I don't think that's what you're saying either. You're just saying.
I'm just saying in terms of an Eagles standpoint.
Yeah, 100%. I got you. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, again, because like I hear your perspective, because like every time you think they're going to win the game, they somehow find a way to lose the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. But at the same time, not even the Kansas City Chiefs have played the Philadelphia Eagles as tough as the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I don't know, maybe it is a bias. I don't know what it is, but
this is kind of the way I feel, though, right?
Yeah, for sure.
They had us dead in the water
They did.
They had us dead in the water, and they still have this inferiority complex. It's like sometimes when you get there and you don't really believe, you're like, "Holy shit, we are this far up!"
Right.
And all of a sudden, like like, all I got to do is put it together a good or two drives. Stop them on defense a few times, get a few stops, and all of a sudden the doubt starts to creep in, and that's the edge I feel like we have over them. They're at this point, they're like, "Damn it! In the playoffs last year, we came so close. All we needed to do was pick up a first down." And then Jalen Carter comes in, sacks. That's all she wrote. This time they're like, by the way, not just once, twice that we blocked the field goals. Either of those would have won it for them. Like I put them in a strong position because the first one, you froze out for a little bit.
Oh, my fault.
The first one obviously led us to be able to put together that touchdown that give us the lead, and the second one, obviously closed out the game, and we turned that one into a touchdown too. So like for them, it's like, what the hell do we need to do? And I reckon the next time we play them, we'll wipe the floor with them because they are so I feel like they've given up mentally on the idea of being able to beat us. It would be a great test of their mental fortitude if they were to play us in the postseason. It would be a great test of their mental fortitude because this is kind of one thing. I'm very surprised that a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans have disagreed with me on this point.
Mm-hmm.
But winning the Super Bowl, the fact that this team has won the Super Bowl is so invaluable. In other sports, people talk about, in NBA, for instance, people talk about, the teams that have gotten it over the line, who have done it, how that is such a mental edge, how you have to kind of prove to others that you're capable of doing it, no matter how talented they are. People find it hard to back against the side that's got the most success, been there, done that. Last year when we played Kansas City, I know we beat them, but what was the narrative going into that Super Bowl? Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, man, have been here so many times. I can't go against the Chiefs. Why are we not using the same logic with the Birds? Because we've been to 2 Super Bowls under Nick Sirianni, 2 out of 3 years, which is, by the way, why I have completely given up on any idea of firing Nick Sirianni or giving up on Nick Sirianni whatsoever. Right. I think sometimes people need to come to the realization that he is a great coach. I think some of the narratives that spoke about, especially in Philly media,
mm-hmm.
are just honestly do him a disservice. They're like this team. This is one of the reasons why I'm so impressed by this team is considering the nonsense that gets spoken about them, despite their constant success. Like, think about it. In about a year, we've lost 2 football games in a year. 3. One of them was not Jalen Hurts, was against Washington, right?
Right.
But Jalen Hurts has lost 2 football games in the space of 365 days. Plus. At a month for that as well.
That's pretty crazy when you put it in that context.
Almost 400 days. We have lost 2 football games in 400 days.
Wow.
With Jalen Hurts a quarterback. So
yeah. Wow. And just a few weeks ago, they were talking about potentially benching the guy for Tanner McKee. You know what I mean?
See, I'm like this. There was one guy who came on after the Giants game. I don't want to single him out. His name is Underdog.
He's great. He's great when he
is
talks,
great,
man.
but he came on with Xander. He spoke for about an hour and just talking about doom and gloom and how the Eagles made a mistake drafting Jalen Hurts. It was the biggest mistake the franchise ever made. And I'm like, so wait, how could you consider that a mistake to draft this eventual Super Bowl MVP of one of the most dominant Super Bowl sides ever?
Right.
Like, the people, he's not a good quarterback, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm done with that, bro. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need to prove me anything.
Right.
And this is the thing about me that people don't really get, right? Because if the team is not good and the team is not reaching a standard, I will tell you that too. I'm very real. It just so happens, and it happens to be with on the other sports as well, which is why I sound like a positive fan. For when I'm talking about all my other teams, it just so happens that I'm living in these glory days where all my teams are at the top of the tree. Right. and I've got nothing bad to say about them. And my job now, when they're that good, is to dispel misinformation that people like to make about your team to try to bring you down. Because I'll tell you this much. This is why when I say that Birds fan, this is what frustrates me when I hear the negativity, which is like the national media. I got to tell you, all the other fans in the NFL hate our guts. They are waiting. They are waiting in the wings for us to drop off or for us to show any period where we're not playing well, so that they can all of a sudden dump on us.
Dude, you saw it in 23. You saw it in 23 after the slide.
Right. But it is our job when we are good, when we are bad, call it out. Look, obviously, look for room for improvement. Obviously, always. I think I always have this thing like no other team can talk shit about my team. My own fans can, because we watch the team and we're just trying to be. It's coming from a place of good love. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when it's hyperbolic negativity and it doesn't even make sense with the reality that I'm watching, then I don't have time for it. Like when you achieve something, that stuff is important. That stuff needs to be noted, and that stuff all goes on your CV. It needs to strengthen your belief. Like sometimes I feel like I need our fans to behave like a champion fan base. Have confidence in your team, in the results that they've shown you. And so that's my thing. When the Eagles fans criticize, especially very publicly, the team and say stuff like Jalen Hurts needs to get benched, all you're doing is giving material for national media. And by the way, national media in America is nowhere near as bad as in some other countries, by the way. In some other countries, it's actually a joke.
Wow.
But but you're giving them material. So you're giving them confirmation. You're literally letting them say, even Eagles fans think Jalen Hurts isn't that good. And I don't want to ever sign my name to that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just sort of how I feel.
Hey. Thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles Podcast.